need to prove I'm actually what that is. Why can't I, on International Women's Day, say I'm Piers Morgan, I'm a black lesbian?
I think taking it to a kind of absurd status.
I think that's what.
About quite
with respect, I think that you've already opened the absurdity door by saying it is limitless. You can do what you like. Anyone can say I'm a woman. So I simply ask you, why can't I?
I mean, this point kind of ridicules trans people to an extent.
Actually, I think what you said ridicules trans people. Because
this is so crazy.
Go through the full process of transition, actually go through what we used to call a sex change, which I don't think you can muck around with original biology, but those who actually go through surgical procedure over a number of years, I've got great respect for that very difficult journey they go on. I have zero respect for people who just wallop their hand up and go, suddenly, I'm a woman, and I want all the rights that a woman has, and I want to compete, say, in sport. I'm a 6'4" athlete, sprinter, swimmer, whatever, who's competed very mediocrely in male sport. I now want to come in and crush women in swimming pools and in sprinting events and break all their records, perhaps irrevocably, just by saying, I'm a woman. I think that is the absurdity you were talking about. My response was to say, well, if it's limitless, why can't I then say whatever I want to say? And you say immediately, as I knew you would, well, that's ridiculous. But my point is, you were being ridiculous.
Well, that's your opinion. You can think I'm ridiculous, but I don't think you can say, well, it has to.
I don't know why I am, but you're not.
I don't think you have to say it's post-op is the only way that someone's allowed to identify.
Well, the original standard
the
original standard for being transgender was being diagnosed with gender dysphoria, which is a legitimate condition. And now it's being, however way you feel. So if you feel on Tuesday you're a woman and on Thursday you're a pizza, that's perfectly valid. But to you, that's ridiculous. And I want to know why that is ridiculous. We should be talking about actual.
Yeah, I agree. It's fucking stupid because
I agree.
This girl on the left she's just trying to find her own fucking ways of defining it, right? So she wants to be tolerant of everything, right? But also you cannot be this because I didn't say you can be this. You understand? Like, it's crazy. I'm just fucking speechless. This is so insane. Like, she doesn't have a brain.
Dude, listen to me. You find these girls in med schools that are becoming doctors talk about this shit, bro. I am not joking with you, bro. I am not joking with you.
How is med school related to shit like that?
Because they're doctors. They're supposed to look at facts. But they say the same shit as women saying. No, you can be that if you choose to be that, and that's what propagates it. Because you go to a doctor, instead of being objective, they're subjective. They put their opinion into it instead of actual medical facts, and they say, "Yeah, you can." Bro, I met a transgender person, guy that became a woman, basically, at least halfway, in a psychiatric facility, bro. He came in a corset with boobs, bro, like proper size, like legitimately, like, and like long hair, and sat down like a female, and I'm like tripping balls, bro, tripping balls, because it's an actual like mental thing. Like, he went through like at least I don't know how much of a sex change, but he went through a sex change, and the way he talked about it, he just. It was an ego thing. It was like him he was like bragging half the time the fact how more attractive he is as a female than other females. You know, like it's. Let's just continue with this. Well, then we'll take a small little break to see what she says.
Actual woman.
The chromosomes.
It's an adult female. It's not difficult.
The chromosomes are a pretty good indication.
I don't think you have to be biologically female to identify.
Then you are wrong, because then I can identify as a fox.
Yeah, exactly.
But again, it's kind of an absurd point.
Let me ask you this.
Bro, she's so stupid. Like, yeah, bro, it's just insane.
Wow, so you don't believe in transgenders at all?
Well, I think there are.
Hang on, whoa. There are two genders.
Well, it's taught in.
Well, you say well. You've literally just launched this huge defense of transgenderism. Now you've eradicated it.
I think
if there are two genders, you mean male and female, right?
There's gender fluidity. I will. Fluid between what?
Between what?
Between different identities, and we can choose different identities.
You see how difficult this is, though?
But it is difficult, but I think making.
But it's not difficult until you make it difficult. You see, the BBC has done.
Dude. Like.
You can't even argue with them, bro. You can't even fucking argue.
Dude, my brain's melting, bro.
Yeah,
There-
it's insane. Like she just said they just said that you can use these chromosomes and everything to see if it's a human or not, right?
dude, there's a
And
quote.
then she said that it's fluid, right? That it doesn't matter, then it's just fluid, right? That you can just
Bro, you can tell in her face.
Bro.
Look at her eyes. You can tell
Yeah,
in her
she's
face that
stupid,
she's
bro.
lost it.
She's lost. Yeah,
She's
lost.
grabbing at anything now. She's like, fuck, let's
Yeah.
just let's
Yeah,
bro.
but do you know where it comes from? It comes from just she doesn't really understand what she's saying, because if she knew, she would be able to justify it, put like some logical arguments, but she doesn't even understand what she's saying, bro. She just heard like this ideology, she took it, and now she's trying to defend it, right?
She's
But she
100%.
doesn't actually understand what she's talking about.
She's 100% lost. She's like,
lost,
I mean,
yeah.
lost like in life. She's made this. She probably lashed up to something because of something in her life that happened. Trying to find a purpose in life. Because, look, I want to say it. She's a woman, to be honest. Her purpose is to find a husband, to be honest. Okay, have some hobbies and to raise a family. Our purpose is also to have a family and to raise it. But the way we do it is for us to even have a family, we need to have a proper job and career, something that we build, right? Women maintain, they maintain the marriage, the children, they support the man. And she went down this career path. I can already tell she's some crazy boss girl, like has her own career. She's decided, because she's already put her feet into it for so many years to do a career, that she decided to latch onto this, because she's passionate, her emotions are involved, and she has nothing left in life, bro. Listen to me. She has nothing left in life. She has only this. She latched onto it. She's 100% on board, and she cannot, whatever happens, disagree with it. She has to stay on the Titanic while it's sinking. She's the captain of the Titanic that she just sank into an iceberg called Piers Morgan, and she cannot get off the fucking Titanic. She has to sink with the ship. She's still trying to steer it. She's like, no, we still have half of it. Go, captain.
Because what else? Like you're not
we
gonna
can still recover this, and she can't recover it. And this whole purpose is literally sinking to the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
And she's gonna have to really
she doesn't want to admit it, right? Maybe she actually, like in her own head, she actually understood that she's wrong, right? Right now, in this moment.
In this argument, she cannot, to the end of this argument, disagree with her position, because she can't lose. She will say the most retarded shit just to say that she didn't give in and say that she lost. After this interview, she's gonna probably have to redefine her own shit and make a decision, and probably will do it. She'll go into shame, meaning she'll probably like step out of the limelight for a year or two, go back into it as a feminist, I guarantee you, and be against all this after. She'll realize she messed up. She'll make a switch, but she can't do it right now during the interview. She's gonna have to do it after the interview. That's how it's gonna happen. Let's see what she says.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's just continue.
This is what I'm talking about. That maybe she even realized it right now.
Look at her face, bro. It's glossing over. She's realized.
Yeah, but she doesn't have enough intelligence to admit that she's wrong, right? But she just trying to
no.
With it.
You know what it is, bro? Listen, this is all from university, man. You finish high school, you go into university, and that's where it really starts, man. They start teaching you this. Then they start making you writing essays, explain why women have it worse, explain why men are misogynists, and then they'll give these messed up examples by her teachers that also have this warped sense of reality, and they have to write a legitimate essay. And for you to write a legitimate essay and pass the course, you have to actually believe in it. And then she may have like some things from media and her friends talking about men, and then they are all in their feelings. It's just really a lot of decisions, one after the other, that just slowly puts you into like a black hole. Then you realize it's just the gravity of that hole is just too powerful, and you just have to ride that wave until you hit a meeting point. And I think she just found that meeting point, that wall. No one's
or
ever.
maybe she just had some kind of bad experiences in life in general, and she's just trying to get
bro.
this kind of
Everything.
ideology to cope, right? She's trying to sort of
it's coping, bro.
Get this ideology to it's coping, right? She needs to cope with this whatever happened to her, right?
Because it's her identity. It's her identity, right? Give me a sec. Thank you. This is her whole identity. And listen, you have an identity, okay? Your core belief wrapped around other things, right? Around that you build, right? It's getting shattered. It's getting penetrated deeper, and we've just hit her core identity. For her to wipe out her core identity, she can't just agree to him, even though he's right, because she'll be lost. She'll be basically an empty vessel.
It's over. Yeah, it's over.
She'll be an empty vessel. Her life, her brain will literally implode. She has to. She's agreeing with him. She's agreeing with him with her body language and realizing how retarded she sounds. She's gonna go through a year to 2 years if she's smart, worth of self-reflection, and then she'll come back realizing, yeah, the movement. I didn't realize the movement, how it was, and you're right. It's taking over women's rights. I'm a feminist. And she would go into feminism, So, so let's just continue. Let's see what she says.
Teaching videos to 11 and 12-year-olds where they say there are 100 genders. One of them was astrogender, which is an affinity with the stars and the galaxy. My response to that on the last show I did was to say, well, in that case, I identify as a two-spirit penguin. I was then told I was being ridiculous, but I made the same point. The ridiculousness is the BBC teaching kids there are 100 genders. There aren't. It is absurd. Bring back Tommy Lehran, who I imagine is hyperventilating over there in America. Tommy, I mean, look, I don't see why, if it's limitless, I can't just say I'm Piers Morgan, I'm a black lesbian, because that is where limitless self-identity takes us. It means that male rapists can say they're women and get into female prisons. It means I can say I'm a two-spirit penguin or a black lesbian, and why can't I? Because that is where it takes you.
Well, it certainly does. And I think you just had the perfect argument there. It's impossible to define and it's impossible to stand up for because it's a mockery of what actual people are. And furthermore, going back to children, when this happens at a young age, when you start trying to convince kids that they don't know what gender they are, or they're born in the wrong body at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, that's child abuse. All right. Gender affirming care, wherein you only tell somebody they can be whatever they want to be, regardless of their biology at a young age. That is child abuse. It's happening in the UK. It's happening in the US. And this is making room for groomers to groom young people, to confuse the heck out of them, make them not know what they are so that they can take advantage and exploit them. Now, I want to be very clear here. This is not the mainstream LGBTQ movement. There are a lot of conservatives that even support that movement. This is a radical agenda made by groomers, and they don't want you to call them groomers, which is a perfect example of why they are groomers. This is what we're doing, is to confuse young people, to confuse all people, to make them dumber, make them confused as to what they are. It's a mockery of women's rights. It's a mockery of human rights, and we should no longer be having
this discussion. And you end up with scandals like the Tavistock Clinic here in London, in the UK, where they were basically mutilating children, young, kids, teenagers, mutilating their bodies irrevocably. And then it turned out, after it closed, after a scandalous report came out, that 97% of all the patients had other conditions, from autism to depression to other issues, which may have been affecting their ability to think straight about what they wanted to be. And that was, to me, as a father of 4 kids, utterly horrific, just horrific. This was going on, and anyone who tried to raise concerns about this, and journalists did, were immediately branded transphobic. And Esther, this comes back to what we see with, people like J.K. Rowling, I'm no friend of J.K. Rowling. She can't stand me. I don't like her, right? It's like fire and water. But on this issue, I've not seen a word she said that is transphobic. I've just heard her go, I want to support and protect women's rights. For that, she's been unbelievably hounded, abused, attempts to cancel, which fortunately have backfired. But it's all wrong, this, isn't it?
The thing is, and one of the shocking things that she's been attacked for is for drawing attention to domestic violence and violence against women. And that's actually the biggest point here. Other than the fact that, you know, that male rapist was allowed to go into a female prison in Scotland, there's a genuine danger around allowing men into women's spaces, like women's shelters and things like that, and they can be there just by identifying as a woman and then identifying as a tree the next day.
Right, so Angelica, do you understand that part of the argument?
I understand that kind of the argument, but I mean, like Tommy said, I don't think this is confusing for children. I think it's giving you freedom of expression and freedom of choice.
But how many girls did you know? Like my wife was a bit of a tomboy when she was young, right? How many kids do you know, young girls in particular, who are tomboys? But if the wrong person gets hold of them and persuades them, actually, what you should start doing is mutilating your body and have a full attempt to become a boy. That's not what most tomboys end up wanting. They end up actually going through puberty, getting older, and then that's it. They become women. Right? But if you get hold of these impressionable young minds too early, when they're just clowning around being tomboys, that's the danger to me.
I don't think the messaging is as extreme as you think it is, and I think we
Tavistock Philip was pretty extreme.
I think we whip ourselves into a frenzy thinking these things, and this language that you mentioned at the start of the show, I don't think you hear that language used that often in like everyday speech.
Which language?
And I think what you were saying.
Oh no, these are on NHS websites. No, this is where you're wrong. This is actually NHS websites in many cases. They genuinely call women chest feeders, birthing partners. They dare not say anything gender specific.
Listen to me. The NHS is a national health service. That's where doctors work. They can't even say breastfeeding woman. They have to say person now, bro. I've made those documents before. You're interviewing a person, and you have to write it down, right? Into the notes. You can't even say breastfeeding. You get in trouble. Could you imagine as a doctor, and you're like, what do you say, bro? You can't even say ma'am or miss. Like you're gonna say sir. Like, dude, it's like already hard enough, bro. It's like you're working, you're all messed up and tired, and you call a woman, and she says, I'm not a woman, I'm a fucking.
Yeah, I think it's even the worst with kids, right? What they're talking about it, because when you were like a little child, you are already confused, right? Whether with like your parents, there are like some problems at home, or like with your school, you don't know which kind of career to take, right? So, or you're just trying to figure out life, right? What is the point and like what you're doing here, right? So you're already confused without all of this bullshit, right? And they're making you even more confused because they give you 100 genders that you can fucking choose from, right? And now you're instead of doing normal stuff like just trying to go to school, then find some job, right? Find some partner, whatever. You're focusing on choosing your fucking gender, bro, out of the hundreds, right? You're trying to think, oh, maybe I'm gay, maybe I'm not gay, maybe I should have another gender, maybe fucking whatever, bro.
Because this is the problem.
That's insane with kids. That's the worst thing ever. There's no benefit to it also. Like, what's the kind of benefit? Like for the society,
there is no benefit.
For the person, what kind of benefit do you